and I was taking the video of spreading his ashes, and a dragonfly flew into it.
Oh my goodness.
Because John's always appeared to me
John.
in the form of dragonflies, and I felt like it was an acknowledgement that this was right. It was time.
And
he wanted to be released.
Of your,
and he's accepting of where I'm at in my process. Welcome to another episode of Relentlessly Resilient, presented by Minky Couture, a weekly podcast where people share real-life experiences and the tools they develop to move forward and live their best life. I'm Michelle Scharf.
And I'm Jennie Taylor. And guess what, everybody? It's fall, y'all. I'll tell you, I love summer. I love when school ends and there's freedom of summer and a little more relaxed schedules. And I really love fall when school starts again and the weather starts to temper, and I'm always ready for those schedules and routines to come back. But I'll tell you, last night, it was in the 50s overnight. And you know what I did? I opened up my windows and I grabbed my Minky and I snuggled up because it's not blazing hot, which it's been. So if you're listening and you don't have a Minky to snuggle up to on those nice autumn nights, can I recommend you go get one? You can find them online. There's 6 stores here in Utah, online at minkycouture.com. And in the Ogden, Utah area, they have a beautiful outlet store where you can get their great products at an even better price. So get ready to snuggle up because here comes fall and those nice crisp evenings. Even on the hotter days, at least we've reached the point that it cools down at night again.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Okay.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. And today's guests are
you and me.
Your co-hosts.
Cohost
Jennie Taylor,
Conversation.
Michelle Scharf. So I'm excited to hear about your update. You've been traveling all over the
goodness. We've had a great
world,
summer.
globe.
Yes. We've had a great summer. I'll start really quickly. Unexpected at the beginning of the summer, I was able to take my preteen girl to a Taylor Swift concert in Scotland, which was phenomenal and also completely unexpected. We have some friends in New York who had purchased tickets months and months ago and then found out their concert night was their daughter's graduation night, so that wasn't going to work. And so they gave them to my daughter for her 11th birthday.
Oh, that's amazing.
And spoiler alert, she's a little spoiled, so that was amazing. She was literally jumping up and down. And so we flew into Scotland, literally long enough for the concert, just this whirlwind of a dream trip. And then at the end of summer, my older kids and I had been planning for a couple of years to take a trip together, my 3 oldest. My other daughter has always wanted to go to Egypt. Her whole life, she's loved ancient history, the ancient world, anything about it, mythology, read all the books. And so we'd planned this trip to Egypt, and I was excited because the trip to Egypt also included Israel. I'm going to take my children to the Holy Land, and we are going to see all those places that are so important to so many world religions and history. Well, this was a couple of years ago. Well, now Israel's not exactly, maybe the safest place to travel right now. And so we had to pivot with our plans, but we had already booked and paid a deposit with a travel company for that Egypt-Israel trip. So we ended up instead in the Alpine region of Europe. And we saw the Swiss Alps and the French Alps and the Italian Alps and the Austrian Alps. It was amazing. We flew into Switzerland, we flew out of Germany, and the rest we just traveled by bus.
Oh,
and
wow.
You think, for those of you that live in the Utah area, Park City is so beautiful. Midway, so beautiful. These areas, and it's these areas just magnified and repeated over and over and over again. Beautiful little ski resort towns and a lot of history, a lot of culture. The different foods, the different languages.
I was just going to say, tell me about the foods.
Oh, so good. So we joke about it. My one son doesn't love to travel as much, which now we know. But he kind of at one point made a comment like, all people do on trips is shop and eat. I said, well, kind of. That's, when you're traveling,
Right.
That's so much a part of someone's culture is to see what they eat and what kind of markets or stores they have.
Right.
Whether you buy it or not.
Is this your oldest son?
My oldest son, yeah.
I knew
Nobody's
it from
surprised.
the pictures. I knew it from the pictures, Jennie.
He would far rather be on a zip line. He'd rather be on the ski mountain rather than looking at the ski mountain. But we still had a great time. And
you should have sent him up there while you guys were shopping in town.
I know. That's what we ran into was as we traveled around, we went so many different places, but we only ever had a short window in each place. So you were there long enough to soak it in, but not long enough to dive into the mountain for the day. Although we did go to Mount Pilatus, and we went all the way to the tippy top of that. He loved that. Munich was great, just a beautiful giant city. Milan, same thing. And then all these little ski towns. But we ate amazing food. Of course, you've got all the gelato. You've got the breads. I am a bread junkie. And the different sweet things. There's nothing better than a German pretzel, I will tell you.
These are all the things I can't enjoy, which makes me
I'm so sorry.
less
Yes, let me talk about
invested
every gluten-filled delicious thing we consumed on this trip.
Did you notice your body different with the wheat that you were eating in Europe rather than here, or none?
You know what?
You don't have any sensitivities. So
no, I don't have any real sensitivities, but the interesting thing is I think I felt better over there.
Yeah.
And we just had a conversation yesterday at Sunday dinner at Grandma's house with my mom and siblings about just the American tendency to add everything to our food and how many additives. So we're mindful of that. We had a great time. We did eat the different things. We saw the different sites. We didn't buy nearly as many things as we looked at, but it was fun to look at the artisan crafts, even the books, the clothing they wear and sell. So many more vibrant colors in the stores, particularly for women's clothing.
Oh, interesting.
I think a lot of us, we do. I mean, even myself, I'm in navy, gray, maybe some beige. We might throw in a little pop of color for summer, but these were full on just bright pantsuits in these bright jewel colors or floral skirts that were just so vibrant. It made me realize I might need a little more color in my life. And so, but I told my kids over and over again, I'm not here for the food. I'm not here for the ski resorts. I'm not here for the bus ride. I'm here to spend time with those kids.
Right.
Because one thing that's tricky, my oldest is 19. She just barely turned 19. My baby is 6. So if we go anywhere as a family, my attention naturally gravitates to the younger 2 or 3. They need help getting to bed, brushing their teeth, getting fed, not hitting each other. And the older kids can split up. I mean, even a day at Lagoon, right? They go ride their own rides. I'm in Kittyland. We'll meet up for dinner or something. So, or if we travel with cousins, which we are a beautiful, big, giant family. But if we're with the cousins, the kids are with each other. And I tend to be with my mom and with my siblings. And we're interacting while the kids and teenagers play. So this was a beautiful opportunity for me and my 3 oldest kids to kind of be stuck together and to play Uno on the train ride and to go look. Oh, we found a Five Guys. After a few days of European food, you're really excited for something American.
Yeah.
And it was time to spend with them. Megan's already in college. My next child's a senior in high school. The next is a sophomore. You blink and you know, because your children are all adults now. So it was a great time to spend together. I'm grateful we had the opportunity to create some memories and some laughs. And we'll always have some inside jokes, but I stand by my statement from years ago that a family vacation is family therapy.
Yeah.
Because you bring out the nerves in each other. You're hot, you're tired, you're sick of being away from home. You love being away from home. And so it was fun.
Any trip is wearing.
To interact.
And it's also great because you get to really experience someone's ability to navigate stress, right? Because traveling is stressful. It's great, but it's also stressful.
At one point on the trip, one of the other ladies in the group asked, she's like, do these kids get along well at home? And I just kind of laughed. I'm like, actually, they get along really well at home when it's the 3 of them. Maybe I'm the dynamic that makes it dicey because there's only one mom and 3 kids. But we had a great time. I can't wait to make a little photo book of it. This is a quick plug to everyone listening. If you're stressed in your family relations or just life in general, one of the most therapeutic exercises for me is to flip through old pictures because they bring back that wave of nostalgia, even for things that are maybe sad or difficult. There's something in seeing the photos, remembering the times, either that you finally survived and got through, or the good times that you remember, oh, how sweet the little kids were, or how funny that one moment was. So I look forward to having just a quick photo book memory of the trip to look at for years to come.
That's so sweet.
Remember that time I trapped you on a bus ride in Europe for 2 weeks? Ha. Anyway, so there's our update. Now the kids are back in school. I'm back in school. I'm teaching school. It's going to be crazy.
Your oldest is back in
My
DC?
oldest is back in DC and loving it. I took her for 2 quick days to drop her off. And the second we got there, you could just see she was home. And she was showing me where they like to eat or the place they like to get a snack at night.
And
or
there's
where
so
they
many good
grocery shop.
restaurants in DC.
Oh, so many. Everything's walkable. And the girl walks.
Yeah.
I mean, we walked from Costco to Target. I would have just jumped in an Uber. She's like, no, Mom, we can walk. I'm a city girl. I said, okay, city girl. Show me where we're going. So she's at home there and I think loving it. And my oldest boy is excited to be a senior and almost done with, the senioritis is pretty strong and it's day 3. So we're going to work on that. And then they trickle down to first grade. So that's our update. But I'm excited for your update because when I saw you first this morning and said, hey, what's new? You just kind of smiled and said, I'll tell you on air. So we're going to close the Jennie update and jump into Michelle. How is your life? So we're going to close the Jennie update and jump into Michelle. How is your life?
Actually, some of it is stressful.
Okay.
And some of it is good, but emotional. And some of it's just really good. I did not get to travel this summer as far as no real big
Like
trips.
a big vacation.
Yeah, no vacations
excursion.
or anything
Sure.
like that. But I just returned home from visiting my mom and my dad and my sister.
Out of state, yeah.
My mom has Alzheimer's, and she's in the later stages of it.
How old is she and how long
She's
since she was
77.
diagnosed?
My mom and dad are...
When was she diagnosed?
She was diagnosed maybe 4 or 5 years ago officially, but we started seeing signs 6 or 7 years ago. So it's been a long journey already, which is not really actually very typical. I hear that people, by this point, they're much further along in the progression. But my dad had spoke to my brother and said, if you want your mom to know who you are, you better get up here. So I decided to come, and I called my brother, and he decided to meet me there. So he and his wife joined. So my nuclear family was all together. Aaron, my boyfriend.
Hi,
he
Aaron,
doesn't
the boyfriend.
really like to be
Make that
named,
official.
on air, but he was not comfortable with me making this journey alone. I didn't have, I would say, the most healthy upbringing. And it was just kind of an unhealthy, toxic environment to be raised in. But it was really interesting because, I'm a life coach. I've been doing work on myself for 30 years. This isn't
not
recent.
just recently.
This isn't something I got into because I wanted to be a life coach
or whatever.
I've been involved in self-work and dealing with past traumas, both in therapy with a therapist and with life coaches for 30 years, really, on and off. And I warned Aaron, and I actually got really nervous before we left. And I said, I don't think you can do this. I don't think you understand what you're walking into. And this is a very stressful time for my family. So I don't imagine things will be really well there. People typically aren't on their best behaviors when they're under
that
pressure.
kind of stress.
And my dad's health is not good. And he does a lot of the care for my mom. And they just recently purchased a new home. And my sister is selling her home, and she has already moved in with her 2 young kids. My sister is older than I am.
Okay.
She is a widow. I would love to have her on the show, but she refuses. She's a widow, and she's military, and she is also a foster mom and an adoptive mom.
Wow.
And she just recently,
so how old are the kids?
in the last 2 years, adopted 2 new children, and they are now 3 and 5.
Wow, little.
Yeah, and she's 58.
And she's okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And the 3 of them are moving in with mom and dad.
They've already moved
to
in.
help care for.
We walked into all of that chaos.
Wow.
And which is a lot because having somebody with Alzheimer's is very difficult to manage and navigate. My mom's constantly picking at her arm. She has like 12 sores on her arm. She's taken off most of the back of her scalp and hair. And, it's just, there's a lot going on. And sometimes my mom will revert into not the best version of herself, the version that we often as kids grew up with those younger kids. And that is challenging in itself. And so all kinds of dynamics going on there. But since I was going out to California, and they live clear up in Northern California.
Yeah, you said there's no quick way to get there.
No quick way to get there. It's expensive no matter how you do it. You either pay more to fly into Medford, rent a car, and go down. I stay in a hotel. I choose to do that.
Right.
There's room there.
To have
I don't.
some space.
Yeah, I need downtime. Or you fly into Sacramento and rent a car and drive 5 hours.
Wow.
So, and I do have family that I would love to see in Sacramento that I haven't been able to see because I have been spending some of my money occasionally visiting my family. It's just expensive to do it. But I decided I was really ready to finalize. And I know if you've followed me on social media, I have been spreading John's ashes. So the first place was Daytona Speedway on the start finish line. The second place, that was his request. And Aaron was there for that. And we spread some ashes in Daytona Beach, which was a vacation spot that we took our kids that he really loved. And then the next place was up in the mountains over near Francis Peak on the way to Bountiful.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Up at a pond there. it wasn't the exact location. I couldn't get to the exact location, but I felt like it was
That
a beautiful,
area.
peaceful, serene place, and it
Yeah.
felt appropriate. So he had spread some of his brother's ashes up there, so I also wanted to do that. But the final resting place was a campsite that he and his brother had gone to as children, and it's near Long Lake, and it's on the way to Lake Tahoe, which is my heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Aaron what I wanted to do, and he was all game for it. So after visiting my parents for just a couple days, we hopped in the car early in the morning and drove clear out to Long Lake, which is quite the drive. It was like 5.5 hours. And then I had to go on a hike by myself to get to
the spot.
To the spot. And I was able to get there. I was able to say my goodbyes. I was able to take some video and picture. I scattered some of his ashes on the campsite like we did for his brother, and then in the lake itself.
Oh,
and
wow.
I can't tell you how much elation I was filled with.
Really?
And I have been dreading releasing all of these
Finishing
ashes because
You didn't keep any. You've now.
I actually just found a little teeny tiny vial, but it's actually for his sister.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I don't have any. I put some of his ashes in a little keychain vial for my brother and gave them to him this week, and he's been asking for 6 years. And so he now has that, and I don't have any ashes.
So this is the release.
This was the complete final goodbye. And it was interesting that it ended up being alone. I always envisioned that I'd take a trip to Tahoe with my kids and we'd all go and do this together. But it ended up not being that way. And I felt a sense of urgency. I really didn't ask my kids permission about it. I let them know it was happening. They didn't really have a response. They all have busy life. They're adults.
Sure.
They have children. You know, it's just not convenient at this point. And they all have their own bottle of ashes, of their dad's ashes.
So they have theirs to keep.
They
yeah.
do. So they all felt okay about it. And it was the most powerful experience for me. On the mile hike out there, I was just thinking, I talked to John and I just talked out loud, and there was no one there. And I just talked all the way out there to him and was telling him where my life is now and what I hope to be doing and the choices that I'm making. And some of them are not easy, and that I hope that I'm doing the right things and that he is okay with these things. And it was just a beautiful, cathartic walk out, and then a peaceful goodbye. I've always seen John in dragonflies, and I was taking the video of spreading his ashes. Let me tell you this. So there was this wind that kept gusting through where I was. And I wait for the wind to completely die down. And it finally stops. And I thought, this is my moment. I'm just going to throw the entire bag out all at once. I throw it out, and this wind comes over and pushes it all back on top of me. And I was like, what do I do now? Am I going to hop in this lake? Like, I was horrified. And then I realized, it's just ash. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
So I wiped myself down as best as I could, finished saying goodbye, started taking a video of the ashes in the lake, and a dragonfly flew into it. And, when I was there, it didn't seem very special or, amazing. But when I got back, I hadn't even seen the video of it yet. But Aaron asked to see the pictures, and I gave him my phone, and he was watching the video, and he's like, what are all these sparkles? Is that from the ashes? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no sparkles. And I got the film, and I was like, oh, wow, there's like all these sparkles in the water.
Oh, my goodness.
But the other thing I noticed was that dragonfly. I saw the dragonfly, but it came pretty close to me, and it was a huge dragonfly. It got on the video, and so I was able to freeze the video and take a picture. It's on Facebook. You can see it.
I'll have to go look.
Yeah. So I think that that's so cool because John's always appeared to me
John.
in the form of dragonflies. And I felt like it was an acknowledgement that this was right. It was time.
And that
he wanted to be
he's
released.
accepting of your...
And
yeah.
he's accepting of where I'm at
where
in
you
my
are.
process. So that was really powerful. The cute thing was on the way back. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Aaron, for John's celebration of life, had these little decals made and handed out over 100 of them at the...
I don't remember if I knew that.
At the ceremony, and they said, in loving memory of John Scharf, 86, and which is very common for race car drivers to do. So I hadn't even thought about it. He created them, had somebody create them at the track, and then he handed them out and had some for our family. And they're all gone. He had a couple left over that he wanted to give to my kids, and he didn't tell me, but we were leaving, and he stopped the car, and he said, would you grab my bag? I have something for you. And I was a little bit nervous because I was like, what is going on? And he pulls out the CD case, and inside the cover, he pulls out one of those stickers. And we were right next to a warming shack that's out in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, go put this up on the warming shack. And so I took pictures. I don't know that it'll stay very long, but it was kind of a fun marker and a fun tribute. Like,
oh, that's beautiful.
We were here. So that was very cool. It's a very exciting thing. And in addition to that,
and you're feeling good with it.
I'm feeling good with that.
I can see it. I can see it in your energy that this is good. This is good.
It's time.
Yeah.
I don't feel grieved. I have felt in grief for so many years. And I was shocked by it because, frankly, we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, we expect people to heal from grief in a year.
In a year. You've got your 1 year mile marker.
That's the American culture of grief.
Go back to it.
You get a year and then we don't want to hear about it anymore. And we all believe that they're okay. And it's not true. And it takes time. I'm 6 years plus out. And I'm just getting to this point, and I'm realizing some of the relationships I've had were teachers, and some of the relationships I have were healers. And
I love that.
And this relationship with Aaron has been opportunity for me to move forward in a really significant way. And as we're recording this, I have somebody over at my house modifying my home so that Aaron can get in and out on his own because Aaron's in a wheelchair. And so he'll be moving in.
Okay, so that's the big news. I was going to say, when I asked you something, I knew there was something coming. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is
okay,
exciting.
So is he going to leave his home, sell his home? Where is he now? Is he...
He lives out in Tooele.
He's in Tooele, right?
He's going to keep his home.
Okay.
And we've got a lot coming up in our life. He's got a massive surgery planned. Unfortunately, got moved from January to October.
Okay, so
we're kind of pressing now to get things done and get things handled. So we'll see where this next year goes.
Okay.
But we have...
But you're both feeling good about it, excited about next steps.
We feel really good, and we have a lot of plans coming up. We have so many ideas of what our future may look like, and I expect that there will be many challenges along the way, and I look forward to them. I'm not afraid of them. I feel like
Michelle, I'm so happy
overcome
for you.
so much in my life. And I will say, going home, this whole process, this whole trip, it was so healing on so many levels. Not only saying goodbye to John and being free of the responsibility of having his ashes, and caring for his body, really.
Right.
In going home, I've realized all the work I've done about facing that inner child, the unmet needs, all of those things. I've done the work. And I was able to go there, be there, love on my family, and leave and realize I'm doing what I can do. Yeah. And there's
you can have
limitations
some peace with
to
that without
and I
the
have peace
angst.
to it. Yeah. And I no longer feel the responsibility that used to weigh on me because of expectation rather than
your own desire or choice or
even what's appropriate.
Sure.
And so I've learned healthy boundaries. I've learned to love myself first. I love myself first. And in this whole process, I realize all this work I've done has really meant something. It does work.
Done.
And I'm healthy and I'm happy.
And you're whole.
And I'm whole.
Yeah, I can see it. I wish everyone was in the studio today to see. Kellyanne, I'm talking to our producer. You feel it. You see it in your face, Michelle. You see the energy, the light. We're all excited for you. Everyone listening with a little quiet clap for Michelle's next steps. Okay, that's exciting. So modifying the home physically.
Yeah.
And And here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We're doing it.
Well, that is an update for all of our listeners as we've gathered at the end of summer, getting into fall, and just acknowledging that each season really is a season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, metaphorically speaking, it might be the change of the weather, but we're constantly changing and circumstances are changing and we're growing in our grief, but not only in our grief. We want to do more than just survive. We want to truly find that point of thriving and living our best lives. Like we say every week, we're here to live our best lives in spite of, or maybe because of, the challenges that we face in life. So
we have an exciting event that we're hosting. It's called Real Connections, and it is coming up in October. All of our guests are invited to participate. If you want to come with other listeners, maybe you have some friends that you listen to the podcast together, there's a great discount for a group of 3 that come all together. And you'll just have to go check it out. Relentlesslyresilient.com is where you can find the Real Connections Retreat. And it's in Utah. It's happening at Fort Douglas in Salt Lake. And we have Jennie's going to speak. You're doing the Brent Taylor.
we're going to do the BT5. Yeah, look at some leadership points. There's quite a few things happening.
There's quite a few things. We have all kinds of different facilitators. We've got myself talking about mindfulness and how to calm our vagus nerve and the value and importance of that. We have Heather Higgins, who was a previous guest. Mm-hmm. We have Mary Crafts, who's been a guest, but will also be an upcoming guest in the next few weeks. We have Jeffrey Olson, who will be coming, sharing about joy and the lessons he's learned in life. Wendy Paul, who's been a guest on our show. She's also a fabulous cook, culinary artist, and a best-selling author. She's going to be with us. She lost her husband, Brian, due to COVID psychosis. That was an incredible episode.
Difficult. That was very difficult.
Yes. We have Joe Taylor going to speak on finances, and it's just amazing. We're going to have dance with Jake Trimbath, who one of our most popular shows. That was a fun episode.
Go back and listen to that.
Fun. I'm going to have him back on again,
the therapy of dance.
Yeah, he's amazing. Stephanie George, who's a poet, writer, songwriter, and singer. So many great things.
How in the world does this all happen in 2 quick days?
I know,
My
2
goodness.
quick days. It's going to be jam-packed. I don't think you're going to want to miss any of it. And we're structuring it so that you can either attend all of them or you can pick and choose as you go along.
As your schedule allows, sure.
So go find the ticket offerings at relentlesslyresilient.com. It's not associated with KSL Broadcast House or any of its subsidiaries. And come and join us. It's going to be an amazing event.
We hope to see you there, and we hope you'll continue listening week after week to these episodes. And as always, we hope you'll consider sharing your story with us of the challenges or opportunities you faced in your life that have helped you develop greater resilience. If you're willing to share, you can find us on email at rrpodcast@ksl.com. Jump on social media on Instagram or Facebook and go to the podcast page at Relentlessly Resilient. You'll find Michelle has a Calendly link where you can book a phone call with her and talk through what you might share on the show, and we'll get you on here. We really appreciate when our listeners are willing to become show guests and help all of us develop even greater resilience.
And whatever you do today, remember to be kind. You have no idea the struggles others are dealing with in their life. Have a great day.